can say the same thing in different ways, and the LLM and the agent is able to understand and process it. And I just wanted to like get an insight also into your own approach into like writing this prompt and being able to express what you want to achieve as much as possible to the agent.
Yeah, definitely. I think prompts are very important. I have used ChatGPT and other AI tools. And similar to that, it's kind of in the same lines. The more data you give it or the more context you give it, it'll just be better. So as you saw, I gave it some starting code files to look at. But this is not what I would do in ChatGPT. I would have to paste code. So it wasn't the first time, but the little context that I knew was, hey, you can give it, it has access to your file system. So you can just point it to certain files. And that's the main advantage, I would say. And I think you just have to experiment and play around with it. You'll just keep getting better because you see, oh, it didn't know about this, so I should have put that in my prompt. So it's just getting started anywhere, anyhow. And it is talking to you as an agent. So when it doesn't know something, then you will also, humans are finally learning. Humans will learn and also try to follow that.
That makes sense.
Great question.
So yeah, this is where it is now looking at those files and it sees now I know where to add the tracking and it should be done over here. So now what I do is, I got this trick from a teammate, is I open source control view in my IDE. So it's doing this job. So when you see this, it's saying it's changing this code to this code. And I'm kind of visualizing it. It's hard to visualize in the terminal itself, but I'm visualizing it in like a diff kind of way. And that helps me. Yeah.
You taught me something. That's smart.
Yes, and it's not that I'm making any changes. In fact, I don't want to like touch this the code while it's doing it because then it doesn't know what I've changed. But that's it's just visually. That was, I think, one of the barriers when I first saw or tried to use Goose months before this example was it just dropped me in a terminal, and I was like, okay, I don't see the code. It's doing something, and so it was unsettling for me as an engineer.
It's a lot of trust you're giving it.
So yeah, and now we see that it's done. It's made some changes, and automatically it's saying it's going to validate the changes by running linting and tests. So I will say that I'm not sure I added that in the prompt, but this repo does have a Goose hints file. Probably others have worked on this, and that is sort of like a little bit of a recipe or directions. So instead of all the engineers writing the same prompt saying, hey, you need to write run tests and linting, and this is how you run the linting. Look at the README or look at these config files for that. You can kind of put that in Goose hints so that all Goose sessions have that context. Again, it's not required. It might have not done this, and I might have added to prompt it, hey, can you run the test? Can you figure it out? Look at the README or look at some test files. It would have figured it out, but starting in a new session, instead of me having to repeat that, I can put that repeatable information in Goose hints. So that's probably why.
Don't even think about it, bro. Just keep going. Let them find out who it was.
And this is exactly one example where I don't know how to, add run linting. I don't know how to, I didn't even install any dependencies. It's going to do it for me. And dependencies and adding configurations and setup is kind of the time-consuming part in many cases. Most software engineers, they're not spending 100% of the time typing code. They're like dealing with all of these issues, debugging. And so that's where this also excels, because it can run some of this, and then it'll see the output. It'll see what failed or what crashed, and then it'll like keep trying to iterate on that. It will give up at some point after a few tries and say, hey, I don't know how to do it. Can you try these other things? But it's good that at least it has some of that baked in. So here what it did was it ran linting. It saw some issues. So it knows, because the linter tells you what the issues are, it'll then fix those issues, and it's running linter again. So this is great. Right now I'm observing it, but you can imagine that I could have just gone out for lunch and come back to a complete code.
Totally.
And I think now it's running tests.
Nice.
That is so cool.
So yeah, see, it says npm run. I didn't install anything. I think it probably just figured it out itself. And I'd asked it to like start the UI, so it's like trying to do something now. Okay, so this is the Goose prompt, and after 3.5 minutes, this is the first time it stopped, because it's done with some things, and it's told you what it did, and it's having some dev server issues, and it's giving me some pointers to try and test that. And this is really a neat trick of like adding the numbers, so that I don't have to type it out. I just have to put in the numbers saying I want to do which option I want to follow.
That's so funny, dude.
Super convenient.
You just keep coming in here and posting it.
Let's see. So I think
chill out, bro.
So here, this is
oh
my
IDE
God. Telling
this
me
is why
that,
people hate crypto people, dude.
This is actually Cursor, another AI IDE, and it's giving me some
hint. Actually, harassment. It's harassment at this point, dude.
Or a warning. I don't know if these are. I don't think these are errors because we ran the test and lint.
But like,
and so this is one thing that I'm prodding the Goose agent to like, try and fix that.
That's what I don't get. Is like, what I want to know their view on that, like. Has always been pretty decentralized. I'm super curious. your thoughts on. I don't know. I'm super curious on that. I'm not gonna ask that because I don't want to stir up the pot, to be honest, and I'm just not trying to talk to nobody. So I'm not trying to have a conversation. I'm not trying to have any conversations, but that's crazy to me, dude. People are just gonna keep